Lisbon, a city steeped in history, its cobblestone streets echoing with the whispers of ancient secrets. The wind howled, a mournful cry that seemed to carry the weight of centuries. In a hidden corner of the city, tucked away amidst towering shelves and the musty scent of aging parchment, an old man labored. His name was Raphael, and he was the keeper of a secret passed down through generations, hidden from the world and guarded with unwavering devotion. His hands, gnarled with age, carefully untied a bundle of ancient parchment. The paper crackled, its surface brittle with time. As he unfurled the map, his heart pounded with a mixture of fear and excitement. This was no ordinary map. It was a guide, a key to something powerful, something dangerous, something that had been lost for centuries. The time had come to pass the torch, to entrust the secret to another. With trembling fingers, Raphael picked up a quill. He began to write, each stroke deliberate, each word heavy with meaning. The fate of the world, he believed, hung in the balance. His letter would be the catalyst, setting in motion a chain of events that would change one man's destiny and possibly the fate of the world. He sealed the letter, the wax emblem, a symbol of the ancient order he served. The secret was out.
I lived a simple life. I worked, I had my hobbies, I enjoyed my routines. But something was about to change. It arrived in the mail, an envelope unlike any other. The paper was thick, heavy parchment. The postmark was from Portugal, a place I'd only dreamed of visiting. The seal was a wax emblem, intricate and strangely familiar. Intrigued, I carefully broke the seal. The letter inside was written in flowing script, the language unfamiliar. I scanned the page, searching for meaning. At the bottom, a single line in English jumped out at me. "Come to Sintra, your legacy awaits." Sintra. The name resonated with a power I couldn't explain. It was a place I'd seen in books, a fairy tale town perched on a Portuguese hillside. But what was my connection to this place? What legacy awaited me? My mind raced with questions. The letter was shrouded in mystery, yet I felt an undeniable pull, a sense of destiny calling me. I knew I couldn't ignore it. This was bigger than me, bigger than anything I'd ever encountered. I had always known about my Portuguese ancestry. My great-grandmother had emigrated from Portugal, bringing with her stories of a proud lineage that traced back to King Afonso I, the first king of Portugal. I'd always been fascinated by these stories, but they'd always seemed like ancient history, something distant and detached from my own life. Now, holding the letter in my hands, I felt a tangible connection to my past. The letter was a key, unlocking a part of myself I never knew existed. It was a call to action, an invitation to step into the unknown and embrace my heritage. I knew I couldn't resist. I booked a flight to Portugal, my thoughts consumed by the journey ahead. I had no idea what to expect, but I was ready to face it. I was a descendant of kings, and now it seemed I had a kingdom to reclaim. The plane touched down in Lisbon, and I stepped out into the warm Portuguese air. The city buzzed with life, a vibrant tapestry of old and new. I felt a sense of anticipation, as if I were stepping onto the stage of a grand adventure. My destination was Sintra, a town shrouded in mist and legend. As the train carried me through rolling hills and vineyards, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, guided by unseen forces. The train pulled into the station and I disembarked, my senses alive with the scent of pine and salt air. I had arrived. Now, I had to find my place in the unfolding story of my life. I checked into a small inn, the air thick with the aroma of strong coffee and spices.
"You've come for the castle, haven't you?"
How did this man know? What secrets did this town hold? The adventure was just beginning. Kevin's room was small and cozy, with a window that overlooked the town square. The setting sun cast long shadows across the cobblestone streets below, creating an atmosphere of mystery and intrigue. As he unpacked his bag, a small folded note slipped out from between his clothes. The note was plain, with no salutation or signature. The message was simple yet chilling. Midnight, the castle, come alone. Kevin's pulse quickened. The castle. It loomed over the town, a silent sentinel guarding secrets unknown. Was this the legacy he was meant to find? He glanced at his watch. It was almost 11. A mix of excitement and trepidation coursed through him. He knew he had to go. This was the reason he had come to Portugal, the reason he felt drawn to this place. Kevin slipped out of the inn and into the night. The streets were deserted, the only sound the echo of his own footsteps. He made his way towards the castle, his senses heightened, his mind racing with possibilities.
You have come. I have been expecting you.
Who are you?
My name is Domingos. I am the guardian of this place, the keeper of secrets, and you, Kevin, are a descendant of a long and noble lineage, a lineage that has been entrusted with a sacred duty.
Secrets? Lineage? What was this man talking about?
You have heard of the Priory of Sion, have you not?
The Priory of Sion. It was a name whispered in hushed tones, a secret society shrouded in myth and legend. He had dismissed it as nothing more than a conspiracy theory, a figment of someone's imagination. But now, standing in this ancient castle, face to face with this enigmatic man, he began to question everything he thought he knew.
Domingos led Kevin through a maze of corridors, their footsteps echoing on the cold stone floor. They finally reached a hidden chamber, its walls lined with ancient books and illuminated by a single flickering lantern. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, upon which rested a leather-bound book, its cover adorned with the fleur-de-lis symbol, Dom Henrique. This is the Chronicle of Afonso, a record of our order's history and the prophecy that binds us. He opened the book, its pages brittle with age. The text was written in a language Kevin didn't recognize, but as Domingos began to read, he translated, his voice resonating with the weight of centuries. The prophecy spoke of a descendant of Afonso, a chosen one, who would rise to protect the world from a great evil. It told of a hidden artifact, a source of unimaginable power that held the key to defeating this encroaching darkness. Kevin listened, his heart pounding in his chest. It sounded like something out of a fantasy novel, yet he couldn't shake the feeling that it was real, that he was somehow caught in its web. Domingos closed the book, his expression solemn. Dom Henrique, the prophecy speaks of you, Kevin. You are the chosen one, the last descendant of Afonso with the power to fulfill his legacy. Kevin. But I don't understand. What am I supposed to do? Dom Henrique. You must find the artifact. Its location is hidden within the Chronicle, veiled in riddles and symbols only a true descendant of Afonso can decipher. Kevin looked down at the ancient text. It seemed like gibberish to him. How could he possibly decipher this and find a hidden artifact? Yet he knew he couldn't turn away. The prophecy had chosen him, and the fate of the world, it seemed, rested on his shoulders.
What am I supposed to do? This looks like gibberish to me.
The Chronicle is written in a Templar cipher, known only to a select few. But do not worry, the key to unlocking its secrets lies within your bloodline.
Domingos handed Kevin a small leather-bound journal. It was worn with age, its pages filled with handwritten notes and intricate sketches. Kevin ran his fingers over the faded ink, feeling a strange connection to the past.
This belonged to your great-grandmother. She was a historian, a scholar who dedicated her life to unraveling the mysteries of our past. Her knowledge, passed down through generations, is now yours to inherit.
Kevin opened the journal, his heart pounding with anticipation. He knew this was more than just a collection of notes. It was a guide, a map leading him to the hidden artifact. The journal was a treasure trove of information, filled with historical accounts, maps, and sketches of ancient symbols. Kevin spent hours poring over its pages, his mind racing as he pieced together the clues. He learned about the Knights Templar, their connection to the Priory of Sion, and their role in safeguarding sacred relics. One entry, written in his great-grandmother's elegant script, caught his attention. It spoke of a hidden chamber within the Geronimos Monastery in Lisbon, a place where the Templars had once held secret meetings.
Look for the whispers in stone. The eagle's gaze will guide you to the heart of the labyrinth.
Kevin's pulse quickened. This was it, the first real lead he had. He knew he had to get to Lisbon, to the Geronimos Monastery. He said goodbye to Domingos, promising to return once he had found the artifact. He boarded a train to Lisbon, the journal clutched tightly in his hands. As the train sped through the Portuguese countryside, Kevin felt a surge of determination. He was on the right track. He could feel it. The Geronimos Monastery was even more breathtaking in person. Its towering arches, intricate carvings, and stained glass windows spoke of a rich history, a testament to Portugal's age of discovery. Kevin wandered through its vast halls, the journal open in his hands. He searched for the eagle's gaze, the symbol his great-grandmother had mentioned. He examined every statue, every carving, every detail of the monastery's architecture. Finally, in a secluded courtyard, he found it. An unassuming gargoyle perched high above the entrance to the cloisters. Its eyes, carved from polished obsidian, seemed to follow Kevin's every move. Kevin reached up and touched the gargoyle's beak. As if by magic, a section of the wall slid open, revealing a narrow passageway hidden within the monastery's thick walls. A wave of cool air rushed out, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and incense. Kevin stepped inside, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and trepidation. He was entering a hidden world, a world where the past and present intertwined. The passageway led to a spiral staircase that descended deep into the earth. Kevin took a deep breath and began his vows. Hazo sai aus wing I tau sau der as sent. The gargoyles gaze, following him into the darkness below, and the guardian's legacy awaited him.
The air grew cooler and damper as I descended deeper into the earth. The spiral staircase seemed to go on forever, each step taking me further away from the world I knew. A single torch mounted on the wall cast flickering shadows that danced and swirled around me. Finally, the staircase opened into a large circular chamber. The air was heavy with the scent of incense and decay. The walls were lined with stone sarcophagi, their surfaces decorated with intricate carvings and faded inscriptions. In the center of the chamber stood a stone pedestal, upon which rested a small wooden box. It was plain and unassuming, yet I felt an inexplicable pull towards it. This was what I had been searching for. I could feel it in my bones. I approached the pedestal cautiously, my hand trembling slightly as I reached out to touch the box. As my fingers brushed against the rough wood, a jolt of energy surged through me, sending a shiver down my spine. The box was warm to the touch, as if it were alive. I took a deep breath and lifted the box from the pedestal. It was surprisingly light, as if it were empty. But I knew better. I could sense the power it held, the ancient energy that emanated from it like heat from a fire. As Kevin turned to leave the chamber, a faint sound reached his ears. It was a whisper at first, a rustle of movement in the darkness beyond the torchlight.
He froze, his senses on high alert. Someone or something was down here with him. He strained to hear over the pounding of his own heart.
The whisper grew louder, resolving itself into the distinct sound of footsteps approaching. They were heavy, deliberate steps, accompanied by the clink of metal against stone.
Kevin's breath caught in his throat. He was trapped. There was only one way in or out of the chamber. He glanced around frantically, searching for a way to escape, a place to hide, but there was nothing.
A figure emerged from the shadows at the top of the staircase. It was tall and imposing, its features hidden beneath a heavy black cloak. In its hand, it held a sword, its polished blade glinting menacingly in the torchlight.
Kevin's heart pounded in his chest. He knew instinctively that this was no ordinary intruder. This was one of the shadows his great-grandmother had warned him about. The guardians of the artifact, sworn to protect it at all costs. Kevin knew he couldn't fight his way out of this. He was outmatched and outgunned. His only hope was to run, to somehow evade the shadow and escape with the artifact.
He spun on his heel and raced towards the opposite side of the chamber, hoping to find another exit, a hidden passageway, anything that would lead him away from the encroaching danger.
He could hear the heavy thud of the shadow's footsteps closing in behind him, the rasp of its breath as it gave chase. He risked a glance over his shoulder and saw the glint of the shadow's sword as it swung through the air, missing him by inches.
Kevin pushed himself harder, his lungs burning, his legs screaming for respite. He had to keep moving, had to stay one step ahead of the shadow. He couldn't let them take the artifact. Too much was at stake.
He spotted a narrow opening in the wall, partially hidden behind a towering sarcophagus. It wasn't much, but it was his only chance. He ducked through the opening, squeezing his body into the tight space, his heart pounding against his ribs.
He didn't dare to breathe as he waited for the shadow to pass. He could hear it moving around in the chamber, its footsteps echoing off the stone walls. It was searching for him, relentless, unstoppable.
Kevin knew he couldn't stay hidden forever. He had to find a way out of this labyrinth. Anchoas. He took a deep breath and plunged deeper into the darkness, the fate of the world resting heavy in his hands. The passage was narrow and claustrophobic, the air thick with the smell of damp earth and decay. Kevin stumbled forward, his heart pounding in his chest, the wooden box clutched tightly in his hands. He didn't know where he was going, but any direction was better than facing the shadow in the chamber above.
The tunnel twisted and turned, leading him deeper into the bowels of the earth. The air grew colder, and Kevin could feel the weight of the earth pressing down on him, threatening to crush him.
He thought of the shadow, its relentless pursuit, and he forced himself to keep moving, his lungs burning with exertion. He had to get out of there, had to find a way to escape the labyrinth and bring the artifact to safety.
His great-grandmother's journal, his only guide, was back in his room at the inn. He cursed his impulsiveness, his eagerness to find the artifact without thinking through the consequences.
After what felt like an eternity, the tunnel opened up into a wider passage. Faint light filtering down from a grate in the ceiling far above. Kevin stumbled towards the light, his legs shaking with exhaustion, his clothes torn and covered in dirt.
As he climbed out of the passage, he found himself in a small, overgrown courtyard behind a nondescript building. He had no idea where he was, but at least he was above ground, away from the shadow's grasp, for now.
Kevin spent the next few days laying low, moving from one anonymous hotel to another, his only companion the wooden box that seemed to grow heavier with each passing hour.
He tried to make sense of the cryptic notes in his great-grandmother's journal, desperately searching for clues about the artifact's purpose, its power. He learned about the lineage of Afonso, the kings and queens who had protected the artifact throughout the centuries, their lives intertwined with the fate of the world.
He read about the Shadows, their ancient order dedicated to harnessing the artifact's power for their own nefarious purposes. The weight of his responsibility pressed down on him, threatening to suffocate him.
He was just an ordinary man, caught in a web of ancient secrets and dangerous legacies. Yet, he couldn't escape the feeling that his destiny was intertwined with the artifact, that he was meant to protect it, to ensure that its power was never used for evil.
As he stared at the artifact, its surface etched with symbols he couldn't decipher, he knew he couldn't do this alone. He needed help, guidance. He thought of Domingos, the guardian of the castle in Sintra, the keeper of the Priory of Sion's secrets.
Perhaps Domingos could help him understand the artifact's power, guide him on his quest to protect it. With renewed determination, Kevin packed his meager belongings, the wooden box tucked safely inside his backpack. He had a long journey ahead of him, a race against time to unravel the secrets of his past and secure the future.